Do you want to learn how to get retired, stay retired, and enjoy your life to the fullest? This is the Retire Happy Podcast with certified financial planner professional Jeremy Finger. Jeremy will be your guide to happiness as he discusses the art and science of retirement, breaking down the complicated information to help you make good financial decisions without worry or burden. Now, onto the show.
Hello and welcome to Retire Happy with Jeremy Finger. Jeremy, what's going on?
Hey, just living life, helping people get retired, stay retired.
And a little bit more than that. Before we hit the record button, you were telling me some pretty exciting stuff. You bought a motorcycle.
I did.
And I'm a bike guy, and so I'm like freaking out over here.
Yeah. Yeah. You look like a bike guy. I look like,
thank you.
You know,
I don't know what that means, but thank you.
Yeah. I look like anything but a bike guy.
A bicycle guy? Is that what you know?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
No, but you're doing something I've never done. And so I want to ask you about that before we get started with today's content.
Sure.
You bought a bike that's like, it's the real deal. This is like an on-road and off-road bike, and you're planning not cross country trip, but you're going to get out in the wilds, man.
Yeah. I want to see the country.
Okay,
right.
So tell the audience about this just a little bit.
Okay.
Because here's why I asked this, or here's why I'm bringing it up, is that when I picture retirement, this is it. I mean, I know you're not retired, but being able to do things like this, being able to do what you want and take trips like this and experience life like this, money's great, right? But if it doesn't pay for the experiences that you want to do and you want to have, then what good is it besides Twinkies?
No,
Really?
no, it doesn't. Money serves a function for what, right?
Yeah.
And what moves the needle in your heart typically. And talking about, and this move, it's different for everybody. But okay, so my son's graduating. We're gonna be empty nesters in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about too much, or I'm gonna be boo-hooing. But I'm sitting there thinking like, hey, what was it that I want to do? Well, I'd like to see more of the countryside, like the country.
Country.
And yeah. And not necessarily store-bought ways where you just, drive around in a bus or ride in sightsee. I want to see like how the explorers like Lewis and Clark saw it.
Yeah, how the West was won kind of thing.
That's right. And so to really do experience that, see it on a motorcycle. Now I called the guys up and they said, hey, have you been riding motorcycles before? I mean, yeah, I grew up on them, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had one in college, but I hadn't had something in 23 years. He says, have you ridden them off-road? And I'm like, not really. He says, dude, you need to get training. So I'm like, all right. So I bought a motorcycle. I'm going to do some training and then plan my trips. And now instead of me driving it out there and going through a bunch of cornfields and things like that, I'm going to fly out there, take a tour, make sure it's nice and safe, have all the equipment. If I get a flat tire, I got someone that can help me and all that crap. So, and really see the world, this country, like in the wild.
Yeah, man, that's exciting. So here, I'm just going to tell you right now that I've already told you that I need to kind of live vicariously through you with this because I have not done it, but we need pictures, right? The audience needs pictures. Now that you've said you're doing this, we're holding you to it. B, we just want to see some pictures, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
No. Again, this is probably going to take place in a year.
Yeah.
So this is a good time down the road, but I'm training in the sand this weekend. I'm going to train in the Prince of Marion National Forest next week. But yeah, just this is part of the process. Hey, listen, for all the listeners out there, what is it that moves the needle in you? And is there anything left undone that you would like to accomplish? And I was asking myself these same questions. I got to eat my own cooking, right?
Yeah.
I can't just do this with clients.
Seriously.
And so, hey, let's start doing it.
All right. Well, let's get to what we were talking about today, or what you're teaching today, because this is really what your podcast is all about. It's teaching folks and teaching me. So what are you telling us today? Well,
we got a 2-part series. And so it's just it's kind of the basics, but it's not the basics. It's number one, hey, if I'm saving money, what are the areas where I need to save first? Right. Okay. So there's a savings portion and where to put it. And then there is also, and this will be the second part of the series, a withdrawal portion. How do you take money out in retirement? What are some things to think about as you withdraw money in as far as cash flow for retirement? But today we could talk about where to save money first.
Okay. All right. Where?
Suspense.
Yes,
you,
it
need,
is.
you need to cue up the drama, right?
Yeah, the drama music.
So level one, like the first thing people need to do is to make sure they have at least 3 to 6 months worth of emergency cash.
Yes.
3 to 6 months.
You've talked about that before. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say 3 months is if you and your spouse are government employees and just can never lose a job. I mean, that is minimum stuff. And you got great insurance and all these different things that are involved. Otherwise, I say at least 6 months.
Yeah.
At least 6 months. Now, don't leave it in a checking account. Put it in a money market account. Try to get some interest on it, but make sure that you have access to it. Okay. I mean, hold the applause there, Eric. Now, I know that's just rockets. I mean, I know that's just huge information for people, but that's level one. The second thing that people need to do is if they qualify for a health savings account, okay, through their employer, and their employer matches their health savings account, then that's the second place they need to add money.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I mean, let me dive in just a little bit about the health savings account. All right. Number one is triple tax benefits, meaning that you get a tax deduction up front. The money grows tax-free and comes out tax-free for qualified healthcare expenses. But in this instance, if your employer matches you, you could, like I say, matches you for dollar, you're automatically doubling your money on top of getting a tax deduction, growing tax-free and coming out tax-free.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge.
So everybody wants to, hey, Jeremy, I want to make a great return on my investment. A lot of people don't contribute to their employer plans that match their money. And that's like an automatic guaranteed double your money or 50% match or whatever the case may be.
It's free money either way.
It's free money. It's exactly right. It's just money laying on the floor. You're stepping over it to go do something else. It's crazy. Yeah. So health savings account is the second level.
Hey, before you get to the next level, I want to say something because I was thinking about the emergency fund, right? And I know that I'm backtracking just slightly, but with an emergency fund, one of the things that popped in my brain when you were talking about that is all these disasters that have happened recently, right? Train derailment, a huge manufacturing company in another state, I can't remember what state it was, just burning as plastics. And they're telling people, don't drink water yet, shelter in place for a while, so on and so forth. Even that, I would hope that people have more flexibility in their budget, but maybe they don't. And an emergency fund can go a long way to buy bottled water, to buy things that you need to buy that you would just normally take for granted, right?
Yeah.
Again, I know that that's kind of I don't want to be a gloom and doom kind of guy, but I think everybody's seen the news where you're just concerned. And if you want to be healthy and you want to not be concerned about that, you may need to spend some extra money for a few months every month that you just hadn't budgeted for before. So anyway, that was just on my mind.
And I don't remember the stats, but an overwhelmingly majority of the people can't miss one paycheck. They're one paycheck from not being able to make basic bills.
Yep.
It's unfortunate, right? But the listeners here, who are all geniuses, are learning how to do it the right way.
Yeah.
So, and the cash emergency fund is a cushion.
Yeah.
A cushion for life's challenges. All right. Let's just say, unfortunately, you're in a position where, like around us, let's say we have a massive hurricane at Myrtle Beach. Yeah, you might have insurance and things like that, but how long is it going to take to get paid and all that? Right. And if you had to go and rent a hotel up in Greenville, South Carolina, or something like that, could you afford to do it? Right?
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about having to be at a different place and then commute to work, right? So now your commute's 3 times as long as it was before. So you got extra gas expenses for a while until things get settled, right?
Right.
But we all know that takes a long time to get insurance things settled.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the major things that people are unprepared for, unfortunately, is medical need. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we've had some medical issues in my family recently with my wife, and she had some things that she needed to get checked up on, and everything's fine, thank goodness. But we had the stroke checks.
Yeah,
we had the stroke checks out because right now we're at a high deductible plan and we qualify for the HSA, and so before insurance started kicking in, those are expenses that you don't know when they're coming.
Yes, absolutely.
Or if they're coming. So making sure, just like an airbag is there if you get in an accident. Emergency fund there is there in case you have an unforeseen financial need.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
no pun intended. I didn't mean to derail us. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I found that oddly funny. So here's the one little thing about the healthcare expenses. Like, okay, I said if you're a government employee that and you got great insurance, okay, maybe have a little bit less. But if you're in a commission real estate business or something that has variable income,
yeah,
I would suggest that have 8 to 12 months worth of emergency cash. Have a much higher. Okay. All right. So we went, and then the second thing is having a health savings account.
Yep.
If you have a company match. The third level is if you qualify or you work for a company that matches your retirement plan. So like a 401k. Okay. If you got a 401k match, a lot of companies, they match 4 to 6%. So if they may match dollar for dollar for the first 2% and then 50% of the next 2% or the next 4%. Well, that is company money that is matching your money. That's free money, right? It's an automatic return on investment.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, guess what? Now, you may have to stay with that company for a certain period of time before that money is actually yours. But if that's your intent, I mean, that's a great way to save. Great way to save.
Yeah.
Okay. So really make sure that you are fully aware of the benefits that are sitting right in front of you. Okay. A lot of times I see people researching fund investments or stock investments or whatever, and then not even taking advantage of the great things that are sitting right in front of them. Okay.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, if I'm doing my math right, if your company's matching 50% of the dollars that you put in there up to whatever percentage, but if they're matching 50%, that's a 50% return.
Hello.
Okay. So
hello.
Did I do that right?
Hello. Yes.
Okay. So
yeah.
So I'm going to challenge
you put in
all
a
the
dollar
right.
and you get 50% more. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So I'm challenging the listeners. If you know of any investment that instantly gives you a 50% return, email Jeremy. We'll give you some contact at the end of the show, but email him, let him know, because we'd be really interested in talking about that.
Yeah, we also have some oceanfront property in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. That's right. So I mean so sometimes that stuff can be a little intimidating. And that, like when I married my wife, she worked for corporate UPS. She didn't know this stuff. And it's a stack of things, and people get busy. But that's why you work with financial advisors.
Absolutely.
Or qualified financial advisors. I mean, obviously, sort of feel free to reach out to us, but to walk through the minutia of that, to let you know, hey, these are next steps that you may need to take given where you are right now.
All right.
Yeah. So that's level 3. The fourth level is pay down high interest loans. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, all right. So if we kind of digress a little bit, again, emergency fund in case of some emergency, because it happens is, let's just say you pay off or you invest the money, and then all of a sudden you have an emergency. You have to sell the investment back out again to pay for whatever emergency you just had, right? That's the reason you have an emergency. All right. So, and then you get a 50% return if someone's matching you 50%, or 100% return if someone's matching you 100%. That's really, really good. And guess what? Most of the time, whatever interest you're paying is not 50 to 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense so far? You with me?
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So the next thing is, like, let's just say if you're paying high interest loans, let's say anything over 6%, 6.25%. Like if you got credit card debt, maybe it's 8, 9, 10%. In some instances, unfortunately, it may be 20.
Yeah, I was going to say, because my wife and I didn't have an emergency fund when we were younger because we were just broke. But guess what? They gave us a credit card, and it was 19%. So there was a couple things that happened within the family. We had a loss in the family, and my wife wanted to go down there for the funeral, which I was completely supportive of. But we put it on a credit card because we didn't have the money for it. So the airline ticket and a little bit of extra money went on a credit card. 19%, man. And it was a hole that we were digging ourselves into in our early 20s. And it was terrible. I didn't know, what I know now. Right. So,
yeah. Think of a high interest credit card as like you're trying to swim up a rapid.
Absolutely.
Yes, like you're swimming upstream. And so guess what? If the water's rolling faster than you are, you're losing ground.
Yeah.
And a little tidbit about that: if you do have credit card debt, try to roll it over to a 0 interest loan for 12 months and really focus on paying that down.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Attack it.
Yeah, really do that. And unfortunately, too many people get caught up in that, and it's kind of slippery slope. Once you start, it's hard to stop and hard to dig your way out of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The next level, after you've paid off your credit card debt, by the way, pay off every month. Don't get in that trap. Okay. Don't get in that trap. So is to contribute to the balance of an HSA account. So we talked about a match. If you're getting a match, if you don't get a match, this is where the next level is. Again, for the same reasons as before: triple tax benefit, tax deduction up front, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals on qualified healthcare expenses. Okay, that's the next level. Now, I talked about this in a previous episode, but just real quick, ideally speaking, you would love to keep the money in the health savings account so it continues to grow. Yeah. And instead, really pay for your healthcare expenses out of pocket and keep that tax-free growth rolling so that when you turn 60, 65, 70, that's a big tax-free bucket to help you pay for healthcare expenses.
And can't you get reimbursed for receipts for a certain amount of time?
By the way, that time is infinite.
What?
Right? Yeah, dude. So okay. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the key thing. To have a qualified healthcare, to have a qualified withdrawal out of an HSA account, you need to have a receipt for your healthcare expense. Let's just say I hurt my foot riding a motorcycle.
Don't say that. Knock on wood. Sorry, you're not gonna do that.
That's right. Yeah, and I need some medical care. It cost me $500.
Yeah,
I need to keep that $500 receipt in 2023. And then let's just say in 2043, I can use that 20-year-old receipt to take that $500 out of my health savings account tax-free.
Yeah.
And
that $500 has grown for 20 years.
20 years. That's 100%. That's exactly right. Hopefully.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's it. So your receipts do not expire. And so, and we kind of digressing a bit, but the receipts can turn yellow and you faded. So just take a digital picture of the receipt. Yeah, absolutely. Just take I have my iPhone and I got a folder that says healthcare. Click a picture, done.
Yep, put it in the cloud.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is that you brought up your motorcycle trip, and again, knocking on wood, nothing's going to happen, brother. But that's something that I think the people face is when they're traveling and they get hurt or they get sick, you're out of your network, you're out of whatever. So you end up with a much larger bill than you would have if you were hurt in your hometown, right? Saving those receipts is huge, right? Because stuff happens.
Yep, that's right. And that goes to step number 1, which is what?
Emergency fund.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Got it covered. And then that's right. Grows for 20 years.
That's right. It's funny how all this stuff falls into place. It's like, that's the reason why this happens, Yeah. Yeah. And so that's a big benefit. So take take pictures of your receipts and save those accordingly. The next level after you fully fund your health savings account, again, you got to qualify for a health savings account, is contribute to your retirement plan, typically your defined contribution plan, like max out your 401k. Okay. If you have work for a company that has those things, max it out. Now, a question may be, hey, do I do a Roth 401k or do I do a traditional 401k? It depends on your individual situation, your tax bracket currently, and your age, and a few other things. Just feel free to let us know, and we'll walk you through some steps there. But you're able to contribute, depending on your age, a certain dollar amount. That's a great way to save. And oftentimes you can set things up automatic where you don't think about it, and it's just automatic. And that's a great way to save money for retirement. Yeah.
So I just want to clarify, because 2 and 3 were HSA and defined contribution plan, and 5 and 6 were HSA and defined contribution plan. However, you broke them up with the paying down the high interest, because the first 2 were putting money in there up to the match. So up to the free money that you're getting, right? And then, because if you don't pay down those high interest credit cards, you're swimming upstream and you can't breathe, right?
That's right.
So for 5 and 6, you're saying, again, contribute to the HSA up to your maximum, because you're going to be able to, is that dollar. And then your additional defined contribution, you can also go above whatever they're matching and max that sucker out.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's 100% the case. And a little bit about the one that's in the middle is your high interest debt. It's like I think it was Ben Franklin. That said, "A penny saved is a penny earned."
Mm-hmm.
Right. So hey, if you're paying 19% interest, so guess what? If you pay down 19% interest debt, it's just like you making 19%.
Yeah.
So and so that's why it's important. Now, again, that's why you're doing the match first. Maybe if you're making a 50% on the match or 100% on the match.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely the case. And those are the first 6 steps. And we broke those up because of the matching.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's great. So what's 7?
7 is pay down lower interest loans.
Okay, so now we're working on getting debt free.
That's correct. Well, the answer is yes to that. Typically, it depended on the individual situation. That may not be your primary mortgage. Okay.
Oh, yes, true.
Yeah.
Especially when the interest rates were 2.7% or whatever they were a couple years ago.
That's exact. I mean, a lot of people are paying 3.25, 2 something, and that interest rate is very low. I mean, and a lot of times I've had people, I kid you not, I still have clients who say, "Hey, I want to take $50,000 out and pay down my $50,000 loan." And I'm thinking, like, okay, do you realize that's going to cost? It may cost you 25% in taxes to do that, to pay a 2% loan, a 2% interest rate. Now, here's also another interesting thing: you pay a lot of the interest on a loan in the beginning years.
Yes.
In the latter part of the amortization cycle, you're paying a lot of principal. Okay, that a lot of the interest has already been paid. So in this particular instance, he may be forcing himself into a 25% bracket or 25% tax when he's only going to receive almost nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he's
never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it is like, it's like, dude, you're saving that your cost is, I'm talking with my hands here, but the cost is just, you're saving just a very little bit, but it's costing you a tremendous amount of money in tax to do it. Yeah. You're paying 25% tax to pay off, at that time, maybe 1 or 2%. It just doesn't make any sense. And when we do a full financial plan for people, we run those scenarios, those what if scenarios. Mm-hmm. Hey, if we took this out and paid the taxes to pay this off, would it improve your situation or not improve your situation? That's how that works.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you don't have a company plan or work for organization, you could put money into just a traditional IRA or Roth IRA if you qualify. Right. So if you have some unearned income, a traditional IRA is where you put the money in. Hopefully you get a tax deduction up front. And then, or if you don't make as much because there's some income limits, is that you can contribute to a Roth IRA. Now, a lot of times what people, Eric, forget to do is that their spouse, even if a non-working spouse, can contribute to an IRA. I paused there for a dramatic effect.
Yeah. I mean, it's each person can contribute.
That's right. Okay. So let's just say your spouse, let's say your spouse doesn't work, but you work and have earned income. Your spouse can contribute to an IRA as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So not only do you max your own IRA out, I mean, I'm going to say it in the Southern way. Dadgummit, make sure you got your spouse contributed too.
Dadgummit.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, yeah, good stuff. And then if you have all of that stuff covered, we get to step 9. And
what's that?
I'll just contribute to a regular taxable account, a taxable investment account.
Okay.
Yep. So what's been the most effective when people set things up on automation, typically that works. I mean, it happens more consistently. Why? Because you don't think about it. And so if someone's maxing out their 401ks and maxing out their health savings account, and they set up, let's just say they have their 6-month emergency fund set up. All right. And then they got an idea. Hey, I think pretty much I'm going to have an extra $2,000 a month to extra. Then you just set up a $2,000 withdrawal on a monthly basis that gets automatically sent to your taxable investment account and invested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So set it and forget it.
That's it. That we kind of fall to the levels of our habits So if we kind of structure things what we don't think about it, make it kind of idiot proof, it makes things a lot easier and people are way more consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you had these 9 that you were talking about today. You said this is a 2-parter, so this was covering how to save money. What's next? What's the next podcast going to be?
Okay, the next podcast is going to be like, hey, I did everything Jeremy said, and I have this pile of money, $2, $3, $4, $5 million.
Of course.
Okay, how do I take the money out in a very efficient way? Okay. How do I generate income or cash? Excuse me, that's not even the way to say it. Generate cash flow for me to live my best life. And that's the way. So you got these piles of money. You got a taxable account, you got a Roth account, you got a health savings account, and you got an IRA account, and then I've got you got Social Security, may have a pension. Mm-hmm. So how do I take this huge blob of finances and convert that over to cash flow so that me and my spouse me or myself can live my best life?
Yeah.
You know? And that there's a lot involved with that. Okay. And we'll try to jam that into our 30-minute conversation.
All right.
But that's right. Yeah. With your talented expertise, Eric, I think we can do everything, anything.
It's getting thick in here. Really. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I thought today was great. If folks want to reach you and talk to you a little bit more about what their strategies are right now, how they can tweak them to be better,
sure.
How do they get a hold of you?
Okay. They can email me at jeremy@riverbendwm.com or call 843-970-1048.
All right. Appreciate the time, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right. And our last thank you, of course, goes to you, listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Retire Happy podcast with Jeremy Finger. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Jeremy comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. And we humbly ask you share this podcast, rate it, and leave a review, as this actually does help others find the show. Again, thank you so much for listening today. For everyone at Riverbend Wealth Management, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Retire Happy podcast with certified financial planner Jeremy Finger. If you have any questions, please visit us at www.riverbendwealthmanagement.com or call us at 843-970-1043. And remember, click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available.
Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor doing business as Riverbend Wealth Management. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.